Hey YouTube, Jaden here, and I think from Team Shadow Strike, and I wanted to, in the last video, I said I was going to make a video kind of explaining what I meant, because I really didn't know how to word it. So I was going to show you some basic setup with a deck that I like to play that is probably my main competitive deck right now, and that is Revengers. So I'm going to show you just some basic plays, to maybe if you're wanting to play Revengers, if you're wanting to know how to go against Revengers, or maybe just some ideas if you have the deck and you may not be sure on how to play it, you can use this as a reference guide. If you're going to be playing against Revengers, you can use the things that I'm using as tips on how to play the deck on how to make on how to play against it. Because sometimes knowing how the deck plays and knowing smart moves that the deck can make and what they're capable of is good for you who's going against it, because you know what to expect. Now, you can 9 times out of 10, most people who are using Revengers, I think, if they have access to it, are going. Well, let me rephrase that. If they have access to this and they're smart, they're going to use this as their starter. This card adds so much consistency to this deck because you're going to grab one of the 2 cards that are going to be the main condition why you win. These 2 go so well together. Too well, actually, in my opinion. Because what he does is he's your grade 3 searcher for Shadow Paladin. So you're going to search out any one of these 2 cards. What he does is if you don't... this is the grade 3 you want to ride first, your Mordred Phantom. If you don't open up with this in your hand, chances are you might get it when you use him. Or say if you open up with Mordred and this and you're set and you use his ability, you can search out the second Raging Form for when you're planning to use his Limit Break in the late game. So chances are this card is a lot... if your opponent flips this over, you're facing Revengers at their full power. Claudus isn't a bad card. I just wouldn't recommend using it over this if this is a card you have and is an option. So anyway, guys, a couple other of the grade 1s that you'll see for Revengers that are very, very crucial to their winning are these 3 right here. I do not include Darkbond Trumpeter because I do not like that card. I think overall, I'd rather just leave my triggers in my deck. That's where they're best had. So I think these 3 grade 1s are probably the best 3 grade 1s. I'm not counting the Perfect Guard because every clan has that, so I really can't say that it's one of the most... It's one of the most crucial cards in every deck. It's kind of like your boss monster or your break ride. So these 3 cards are more crucial due to the fact that each of them have their own special abilities that help you at any point. He's kind of like a damage unflipper that gets Blaster Dark off for basically 1 counterblast, or can help you unflip damage to use for your Break Ride or Raging Form's counterblast. He's just a 10k attacker, and this is a booster that helps Raging Form hit 22. So if you had to make a good attack column with him, you can use this to make a good column. So grade 2s, and pretty much the only 3 grade 2s that Revengers are going to play, because it's the only 3 good options, is Blaster Dark, Tart, and their 12k attacker Masquerade. Masquerade, in my opinion, is the most crucial card out of these 3 because he is the biggest thing in the late game. Because when you do your Break Ride for Raging Form, chances are 9 times out of 10 you're going to go for him just for the straight power. Especially if your opponent has more cards in their hand, that way there's it's going to be harder for them to block him, so it's less likely that they're going to be able to block him, because 9 times out of 10 you're going to be boosting like this, so that's going to be a 19 attack column. I'm counting, 12 and 7, which would be 19, and if he was called out of the deck, he'd be 14, and then with his own skill, he'd go to 17. So 17 and 7, that's a 23,000 column, so if you're able to put triggers on top of him, you can get him to 28 or even 33, which is very, very good. This card is also very crucial because I recommend, if you're playing Revengers, don't be so hasty to get him off really quickly unless you're playing against Kagero, Eradicators, or anything that has access to a card that lets them pop units. Because one thing I like to do is, say I ride my grade 2 and I have 2 counterblasts because my opponent critted me because I went first. I'll use her first, and I'll use her skill to call out a Dorit, and that way I have a column set up, because all she is just an attacker until you can intercept her off, because then when I ride into Mordred, chances are I'll have a 3rd damage, and then I can use her skill. Dark Goat skill. So my best piece of advice is don't try and don't get Dark Goat off. Don't use Dark Goat early just because you can. I'd save him for when you think you're getting close to using the Raging Form skill. That's what I like to do. There's even been times when like I'll break right into Raging Form and I'll counterblast and I'll superior call a unit out of the deck and it'll gain 5,000 power, and then I'll call a booster for it. So my field looks something like this. What I'll do is then I'll use my Creeping Goat skill, and I'll add another Raging Form to my hand, because sometimes when your opponent knows that Raging Form is in there, it causes them to do something drastic, where like if they're at 4 damage, they'll say no guard when your Vanguard attacks, so it might give you a strong possibility. And then when I use the Creeping Dark Goat, I'll call a booster for Raging Form. If I do have this in my hand, he'll be the one I call. So then say I have maybe 1 unflipped damage, and I have a copy of Blaster Dark in my hand. I'll then just do a simple retiring of Tart, unflip 1 damage for Dora, and then counterblast them both right back and pop a unit. So then what I can do is then say I'll go 16 at my opponent's Vanguard, and then he'll be at 21, and then I'll boost him for 11, so 32,000 at my opponent's Vanguard. Then, chances are, if your opponent is at 4 damage and they know that you have another copy of Raging Form in your hand, and they know that they're going to have to take 1 attack eventually, they're going to be more tempted, or they should be more tempted to take this attack. Because, alright, let's for argument's sake say they perfect guarded this attack, okay? And let's say you hit 1 critical trigger. Well, we already know this is going to be a 17 and 7, 23 attack column. So now it's at 28 plus a crit. So let's pretend we did the first attack with Raging Form, and we pulled 1 card and a critical trigger. So we give the 5,000 power and the crit here to Masquerade. So he's now 22 and 7, so that's going to be... that's going to be 19, 22, and 7. So that's going to be, well, hang on, guys. I'm terrible at math. 14 plus 5 would be 19, plus 3. So 19 and 3 would be 20, 21, 22, and then plus 7. So now this is up to a 29 attack column. God, I'm so terrible at math. I'm sorry about that. So now we pulled a critical trigger. We've made him stronger. So now this thing is at 22, and this thing is a 29 attacking column plus a critical. Then what we're going to do is we're going to activate Raging Form's Limit Break, which is we're going to sack off 3 units. Normally you're going to do it in an L formation. That way the other rear guard that you called out of the deck has a boost and is at full power. And then you're going to Persona Ride, a superior Persona Ride, and then Raging Form stands back up and he gains plus 10,000 power. Now what your opponent is having to deal with is they're going to have an attack coming at them for 21,000 and a rear guard over here that is at 29 plus 1 critical. So if they perfect guarded the first Raging Form attack, chances are at most they might be able to go 1 to 2 to pass on this. Say you only hit 1 trigger. You give it here. That's another 5,000 power here. So he was 22. Now he's at 27. That's 34 plus a crit. And that is more than likely going to get through and kill your opponent. This deck, guys, is the top deck of the format. One thing that's also very, very good, say your formation's been kind of weak, like, let's say, this is all you've been able to muster for your rear guards. Let's say that's all you've been able to get. When you break ride Raging Form, let's say you have all your counterblasts open. I would superior call this. And then with her ability, you can counterblast too. And you can counterblast 2 and call another Dorant out of the deck. What this does is now it gives you another column. So for basically 3 counterblasts, you filled another column. That's very, very good, guys. That's very, very good. And then you can call a booster for your Raging Form, or like I said earlier, if you had that Creeping Dark Goat still as your booster, now you can actually use it and maybe try and get that extra Raging Form to your hand. And then you can call a booster from your hand to get things going. Now, this is going to be 14 and 7, so that's going to be 21. It wouldn't be as much because it's 3,000 points shy of this, and that sometimes 3,000 power is enough. But in this case, let's say at this point, you had these 2 cards in your hand, and you had 1 unflipped damage. If your opponent has maybe a grade 2 that you want to pick off so that they can't intercept with it, you can always just retire, call Blaster Dark, unflip 1 damage, then flip 2 face down, and pop the other card, because keep in mind, if we did do all of that, that would be 5 Counterblast, 1 for the Break Ride, 2 for Matcha, and 1 for Creeping Dark Goat. That would be, so that'd be 1, 3, 4, and then you'd call Blaster Dark, unflip the 4th, and then flip the 4th and the 5th for Blaster Dark. So you could do that all in one turn if you were able to, which is not a bad option, guys. It really isn't. And if you weren't able to do the Blaster Dark thing, you can always simply just use this, and it's not a bad option either. Then you can follow the same idea. You can go 16 at the Vanguard, then you can go 32 at the Vanguard. Whether they take the attack or not, you would sack these 3, the L formation, and you would Superior Persona Ride into the next Raging Form, and then you would simply just be 21, and then this right here would be 21. So say if they guard 2 to pass on this, and you pull, for your first trigger check, you get 1 card, but then on the second you get another card, you can just stick it right here, and then this is an at least 26. That is how you can take full advantage of the Raging Form deck. The rest of it, you kind of have to learn as you go, but these are some of the basic combos that you can do with the deck. I really like this one, because if, say, when we do Break Ride for the first time, and our formation is weak, I really like being able to Counterblast 1, Superior Call, Counterblast 2, Superior Call, activate, get to hand. So now we have 4. Say if we have 5 damage in this situation, we've already used 3 Counterblasts, 1, 3, 4 for the Creeping Goat, so we've used 4. Unflip the 4th, flip the 4th and the 5th, pop. And then call. And if we don't have this, then even this is an okay option. So, guys, this is just some of the combos that you can do with the deck. This was kind of the idea that I was having when I said I can give you an example of setup on certain decks. So this is what I wanted. So this is what I wanted to show you guys. I hope this was informative. If you play Revengers, or you want to know how Revengers work, or you're thinking about building the deck and you wanted some tips, these are just some ideas that you can do. So guys, this is what I had to show you. So I hope this was informative. If you like this, guys, give me a thumbs up on this video so I'll know to do more of these in the future. If you play a certain deck and you've seen that I've done the deck profile on it, I will be more than happy to show you some tips on the deck and do exactly what I just did here. You just need to let me know, A, what the deck is, and 2, that you want me to do it. You can, in the comment section below, tell me, can you show me some setup for Garmor? Can you show me some setup for Dragonic Overlord the End, or Aquaforce, or Dark Irregular, or whatever. You just need to ask, and I will be more than happy to do any and all I can to assist you and help you. I want this channel to be successful, and it's been very successful from the start. I'm at 108 subscribers. I'm really happy about that, guys. Also, if you're a Vanguard tuber out there, I would be more than happy at times to, if you want, you can private message me, and we can talk about maybe posting a video on each other's channel, or even doing videos together. I'm open to that. So if you do have your own Vanguard channel, I would be more than happy to do that. You just need to let me know. So anyway, guys, I hope you enjoyed this. You can, in the comment section below, share your thoughts with this on me. Share your thoughts on this with me. I always like to hear your feedback. And thank you to all of those of you out there who have told me that you've liked my videos or my deck profiles. It really means a lot, guys. So anyway, thanks for watching. Comment, rate, subscribe, thumbs up the video, and I will see you guys later.